This fort at Bundi was constructed by Hada Rajputs who claimed to be Agnikuliks, fireborn. Actually, they were descendants of Chauhan Rajputs who migrated from northern India to Rajasthan after the invasions of Muhammad Ghori. They founded many independent kingdoms here, and Bundi was one of them. The fort at Bundi is a wonderful illustration of Rajput fort architecture. Very little of Mughal or Islamic influence is discerned here. The building is ornamented with stepwells, cornices, arches and elaborate windows. The fort was conceived as a building with ramparts spreading out like arms of a star over the hillside, and that is why it was named Taragarh, the Star Fort.
Situated 215 kilometers away from Jaipur in Rajasthan, Bundi is famous for its Taragarh Fort. It was built in the middle of the 14th century. The Hada Rajputs who held sway here were Mansabdars in the Mughal court and renowned for their prowess in battle from Kabul to the Deccan.
राव देवार ने 1298 ईस्वी में इसकी स्थापना की, लेकिन बाद में सामरिक दृष्टि से एक अभेड़ दुर्ग की जरूरत पड़ी। तो जो आवश्यकता होने पर राव राजा वरसिंह ने 1354 में 1426 फुट की पहाड़ी के ऊपर ये इस दुर्ग का निर्माण करवाया और बाद में जयपुर के जो फौजदार थे दलेल सिंह, उसने इसकी प्राचीर बनाई।
According to Frishta, Mahmud Khilji, the Sultan of Malwa, attacked it thrice and occupied it. In the 17th century, the rulers of Bundi made peace with the Mughals and became a part of their empire. The fort remained secure and the state became famous for its prosperity.
It was also one of the most curiously built forts. It's built in sections, coming into the gorge of a mountain, unlike most Rajasthan forts. Even the palace is built at the peak so they could see for miles. This is built tucked in along the hillside, so it's a completely different philosophy and perhaps sought protection within the valley.
Geography and the hilly terrain have been very well used for the defense of this fort. Hills on three sides are its natural armor. A strong wall blocks the steep road that climbs up to approach the fort. The ramparts snake along the hillside, covering a large area. Buildings cover the ground from the bottom of the hill to its top. There are towers built along the ramparts to protect the fort.
बोलता जा रे दिल खोलता जा 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 रे बोलता जा रे दिल खोलता जा 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 रे बोलता जा रे दिल खोलता जा 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 रे बोलता जा रे दिल खोलता जा रे बोलता जा रे दिल खोलता जा बोलता जा।
Bundi has many beautiful palaces that are considered excellent examples of the Rajput style. Built by different rulers, the entire complex took many centuries to take its present shape. Therefore, it is not surprising that we encounter different architectural styles.
One of the architectural features that Bundi and then also the Mewar area were the jutting out balconies. Even at Mehrangarh, Jodhpur. Basically anywhere where you have a hilly terrain and you're adding a palace and then you need the air. And so you have a jharokha or a balcony that is jutting out in such a way, and then it is embellished with columns and other things.
All the buildings in the Boondi Fort make excellent use of courtyards and balconies. Rooms were built round open spaces to enable the womenfolk to enjoy royal functions and public celebrations here.
Fort itself is not imposing. The historic fabric very well integrates with the fabric of the city, you know, the kind of jharokas, the projections, the architecture. So it just seems like it's emerging out of the city architecture and, you know, just at a different level.
There are many entry gates. Hatia Pol opens to the city and has very thick walls decorated with colorful paintings and stone carvings. Overall, this massive gate leaves an impression of gentle softness.
This fort of Bundi is built atop a hill. It was surrounded in past by a dense forest that made it impossible for an invader to reach this place easily and assault it. That is how Bundi remained protected from the devastation which other forts in Rajasthan have suffered. The rulers here were statesmen-like. They entered into a treaty of friendship with the Grand Mughal Akbar and increased the protection of their principality. Peace and prosperity prevailed. They could patronize painters, musicians and writers, and Bundi became famous as a dazzling star.
The area reserved for the residential apartments of women is called the Zenana Mahan. The paintings on the wall here are very large. Today, this wears a sad, desolate look. No one seems to be interested in its conservation. Anirudh Mahal was built in the third quarter of the 17th century. It has two distinct parts. One is the gallery along which the rooms are built, and the other is an open courtyard adorned with fountains. The walls and the ceiling of this palace are covered with paintings inspired by the Geet Govind, episodes from the Ramayana and scenes of the rulers of Bundi holding court. This building too has become a victim of neglect.
The stone used for the construction of the fort at Bundi is pretty hard, not very easy to engrave upon. And perhaps that is the reason that why for the ornamentation of this fort and palace, wall paintings have been much more profusely used. Not only the murals, but the examples available in private collections of miniature paintings dating back to medieval period from Bundi are world renowned.
The Phul Mahal is a large hall that was once used as a private living room. It is said that it once overlooked a blooming flower bed and was named after it. The walls here have been used as large canvases to paint pictures chronicling the royal life in Bundi. Some recreate the festivals of Holi and Tej. Others recall ceremonial parades.
It's a wonderful complex of palaces and little hidden passages at different levels, of which the Chhatra Mahal is one of the most beautiful, with exquisite wall paintings, because the Bundi Maharaja was a great patron of the arts and a great patron of what came to be known as the Bundi school of painting, amongst the most famous of the Rajput paintings.
Chhatar Mahal was built by Rao Singh. An open courtyard has been partitioned elegantly by pillars, and rooms for members of the royal family are built running round the gallery. This palace is a good example of Hindu architecture.
Having fought the locals for a while, and then some of the Rajput kingdoms, the Bundi rulers were part of the Mughal kingdom also. So the 18th, 19th century history is more away from the Boondi Fort, but it is affecting the Boondi Fort. It's affecting the people living in that fort.
Rao Singh, son of Chhatrasal, spent lavishly to decorate the Chhatar Mahal. The walls were repainted. These pictures depict Hindu gods and goddesses, along with scenes of royal life in Bundi.
This fort at Bundi is reckoned among the most beautiful forts in the country, not only in Rajasthan. This was the view of Rudyard Kipling, the famous English author, who observed that when you look at the fort, it appears that this has been constructed by angels, not by mere mortals. And so were the views of Colonel Todd, who served here as the political agent of the British in the 19th century in Rajputana. From the top of the hillock where the Chhatar Mahal is built, the fort seems to cascade down like a beautiful waterfall towards its base.
The earliest paintings in Bundi can be seen in Badal Mahal. The facade of this building shows distinct Western influence. Its ceiling, too, reminds one of a Gothic church.
The time when a lot of these forts were being particularly beautified and enlarged and embellished would also have been the time when that ruler who was bringing in this enhanced income would have hardly spent any time in his own kingdom. We know Bundi rulers, we know Kota rulers, we know all of them who were loyal generals of the Mughals who hardly ever got a chance to actually inhabit these very beautiful palaces that they were getting built for themselves. So that's one of the ironies.
paintings show a blend of Rajput, Mughal and Deccani influences. Historians suggest that the rulers of Bundi who accompanied the Mughals to the Deccan as military commanders brought back artists with them. The walls are covered with floral designs and traditional heroes and heroines. The work of these artists fills us with pride.
Such noble structures, such grand style of living, such grandeur was possible 500 years ago. It brings a sense of humility. It also gives you a sense of pride, because all these things have been done by human beings.
One of the major attractions of Bundi is its beautiful canopies. There is an ancient tradition of constructing such chhatris after the death of Rajput rulers to commemorate them. The Chaurasi Chhatri in Bundi is unique, as this was built by Rao Raja Anirudh Singh in the memory of a commoner, the son of his foster mother.
चार 8 16 की बजाय पूरे 84 कंबों पर खड़ी है छतरी, जहां कामसूत्र के 84 आसनों का प्रतीक बनकर रसिक सैलानियों का मन बहलाती है, वहां 84 योनियों की याद दिलाकर भोगवादों को मुक्ति प्रयासों के लिए प्रेरित भी करती है।
Canopies for members of Bundi's royal family stand in Kesarbagh. These are wrought in marble as palaces for the departed to dwell in. Some of these are dedicated to princesses and queens who endeared themselves to the people with their commitment to the welfare of the poor and the suffering. They continue to be remembered affectionately.
सूरज से बातें करती है बूंदी की सूरज छतरी, स्थापत्य का रूप दिखाती 84 खंभों की छतरी, बूंदी की शोभा को द्विगुणित करती है मौड़ी छतरी, और छत्र महल को सदा निहारे पहाड़ों से स्याली छतरी, और तारागढ़ के मध्य विराजे राव देवा की छतरी, और बूंदी नगरी के पग पग में दिखती हैं सुंदर छतरी।
Chitrashala is the center of attraction in the Boondi Fort. There is a small flower garden adorned with fountains in the front. The other 3 sides are used as picture galleries. It is the paintings here that made Bundi world famous. The subject matter for these paintings ranges from the romance of Radha and Krishna and other love stories to scenes of the royal hunt.
चटक जो रंग है, चमकीले रंग है, उनका प्रयोग हुआ है। यहाँ की जो आकृतियां हैं, वो आकृति किशनगढ़ और उदयपुर की चित्तौड़ की आकृति से भिन्न है। कि यहाँ पर दौड़ते हिरण, दौड़ते शावक, दौड़ते शेर, शिकार करते राजा, कड़कती बिजली, ये जो प्रयोग हुआ, ये प्रयोग उस जमाने में एक आश्चर्यजनक था।
Human faces in this gallery are very interesting. Their dress shows great variation. Some look Rajasthani, others Mughal. The fluid grace of the lines and choice of colors creates a mesmerizing, almost musical effect. All these paintings, executed in the 18th and 19th centuries, express uninhibited joy. We cannot assess the value of this treasure. It is an imperiled heritage in urgent need of conservation.
The paintings over there from an art historical point of view are extremely important, and they are extremely early, and they also are very rare paintings because we know that there were people, great artists who were invited not just from the local region but from the Deccan. And so this idea of the confluence of different streams of art and artists from different parts of the subcontinent over there, producing things in the late 16th century, making some very valuable, very, for those times, path-breaking works. The idea of losing those is really heart-rending. It would be a very sad thing to see.
Neglect has resulted in decay and destruction of large parts of the Boondi Fort. Tourists and visitors turn back after visiting the buildings at the lower levels of the fort, as the structures at the top of the hill are in a state of disrepair.
ये दुर्ग एक विशेष महत्व का दुर्ग है। आज इसकी दुर्गति हो रही है। आज ये पूरे दुर्ग को समाज कंटकों ने जगह जगह धन के लालच में तोड़ दिया है, खंडर बना दिया है इसको। न व्यवस्था का ध्यान है, न जनता का ध्यान है।
Lack of maintenance has resulted in almost total destruction of some paintings. The role of people in defacing the fort and vandalizing it, damaging a priceless heritage, is shameful.
There is a tendency for all of us to turn to the government and say, you're not doing this and you're not doing that. But let me be frank, no government goes out and desecrates or defaces their monument. It's you and I as people and our children who are going out and defacing the monuments. We're clearly not inculcating enough respect of our heritage in our education system.
Not only India, but the whole world takes great pride in this rare artistic legacy. The brilliant miniatures that adorn the walls of Boondi Fort are indeed a shared heritage of mankind. It is a great pity that the citadel that protected the city for centuries today stands humbled. It needs urgent protective measures. Unless this is done, we shall lose this priceless heritage site forever.